deserving centrepiece on an excellent day's racing. And they're often racing. So the feature today, the Grade 1 Coral Challow Novices Hurdle, is underway. The trip 2.5 miles. They'll be jumping 10 flights of hurdles, and Great Wood Hurdle runner-up Lookaway, with his stamina to prove today, is one of the first ones to show, ahead of Captain Teague with Bullets Hill, one of the rank outsiders towards the outside. The Jukebox Man is nice and handy as well. Johnny Who towards the inside, racing along next. Willmount's a little bit keen, if anything, next. Farnogue is following him, Masaccio and Brave Jen, the two at the back end of the field as they take their first flight of hurdles. Well, no hiding place seemingly for Lookaway, who's been taken to the front and led clearly at the first flight of hurdles. On towards number 2. Lookaway, Bullets Hill on the stand side now going second. Captain Teague and the Jukebox Man in behind those, followed by Johnny Who and Farnogue. Willmount in behind those, taking the second. A mistake from Masaccio there at the back end of the field, keeping company with Brave Jen. They move on now towards flight number 3. Lookaway, still with the narrow advantage over Bullets Hill on the stand side. Here then, the next flight of hurdles. Good, neat jump from Captain Teague, landed third. The Jukebox Man, in comparison, was just a little bit slower, but he's now regaining his momentum, moves alongside for third as well. Johnny Who and Willmount next, followed by Farnogue, and then Masaccio, and the back marker being Brave Jen. They have a circuit to go in the Coral Challow Novices Hurdle. Lookaway with the advantage. Lookaway taking the field away from the stands. And then on the outside, Bullets Hill just nudged along already at this early stage to stay competitive with the leaders. The Jukebox Man inside that one goes handier now, and so too Captain Teague, the shortest way. Willmount is still a little bit keen and moving forward now on the outside of Johnny Who and Farnogue, and the back two are Brave Jen in company still with Masaccio. On they head towards the first of their flights down the far side. Lookaway continuing to lead and stood off that hurdle a mile. Landed in front by a length and a half. Captain Teague and the Jukebox Man still right there, second and third. Willmount much closer, all the time getting closer. Willmount into fourth place now as Bullets Hill really feels the pinch and weakens out of it. Lookaway produced another good jump there. A mistake from Brave Jen sees Brave Jen now sharing last place with Bullets Hill. Both look as though they may be struggling now. Lookaway leading from the Jukebox Man and Captain Teague, Willmount, Farnogue and Johnny Who. The 6 runners covered by 4 lengths. Masaccio slightly off the pace with Brave Jen, and Bullets Hill as Lookaway continues to fly every one of these hurdles. Lookaway leading from Captain Teague and the Jukebox Man. Farnogue on the outside of Willmount, and then Johnny Who taking the next flight, the last over on the far side. Masaccio and Brave Jen just about still in this, and tailing off now is Bullets Hill as they move on towards the end of the back straight. The Coral Challow Novices Hurdle building towards its climax. Lookaway set his stall out right the way from the start. Lookaway to lead the field. The Jukebox Man in second place, representing Ben Pauling's yard, who won this with the brilliant Barters Hill a few years ago. In behind those, Captain Teague, as now Farnogue comes under a bit of pressure. Gliding along is Johnny Who, and Willmount's further back, and Willmount just being pushed along and getting a bit outpaced, and he's been passed by Masaccio, and Willmount looks in trouble here. He's going to have to respond, and it's not looking as though he's going to do so. Willmount looking beaten here, turning for home. Lookaway with the lead. Here now is the Jukebox Man on the outside. Captain Teague and Johnny Who, and these 4 have rapidly put their mark on the race and have drawn clear as they take the third last. Lookaway under the most positive ride, leads, but in behind him, just look at Captain Teague for Paul Nicholls with such a brilliant record in this race. Between the two of them, Lookaway giving plenty. Johnny Who needs to find more in fourth place. Coming now down towards the second last hurdle in the Challow. Far side, Captain Teague. Little bit of a tentative leap though from him. In second place is Lookaway, followed then by the Jukebox Man and Johnny Who. Captain Teague nursed to the front. Lookaway will not give up, neither will the Jukebox Man. And then in fourth place comes Johnny Who. Final flight in the Challow, taken by Captain Teague with the lead. Lookaway and the Jukebox Man, they are staying on tenaciously. Captain Teague is out in front though, onto the run-in. Captain Teague chased by the Jukebox Man and Lookaway trying to come back. Captain Teague's really weary. Slow motion finish to the Challow. Captain Teague, Johnny Who's still staying on late in the day, but Captain Teague bravely sees it out. It's another Challow for Paul Nicholls. Lookaway with the Jukebox Man and Johnny Who made it a tremendous spectacle.
A fourth consecutive Challow Hurdle for Paul Nicholls, the last four all ridden by Harry Cobden, and two before that as well with Cornish Rebel and Denman. I think I'm counting right. It is your sixth, isn't it?
Yeah, I forgot about Cornish Rebel, but you know, Denman and obviously Braveman's Game stage, so Hermes Ellen, all great chasers, aren't they? And this one will follow in their footsteps, hopefully.
All right, so how good do you think this horse is, Captain Teague?
There's plenty in the locker, and Harry said he just travels well through a race, jumped much better today, idles in front, so you wouldn't know.
It's just impossible, really, to understand where the bottom of this horse is. I said to Harry at the spring festivals, do you think he's a horse who needs to go up in distance? And he said probably. On
good ground, I'd say he probably does. He does like that very soft ground there, and the stamina helps him a lot. So, yeah, I mean, ultimately, he'll be a very smart 3-mile chaser, and that's what they bought him for.
And it's quite interesting, Paul, that you were prepared to do something that you're not normally prepared to do with a horse of his age, which is run them in that champion bumper at Cheltenham. What was it about him and his temperament and his ability that made you do that?
We had so many horses to run in bumpers last year, we didn't want to run over hurdles like him. I just said to Johnny, we've got nothing to lose. He won well at Plumpton. Let's run him at Cheltenham. He finishes in the first 5 or 6. He'll have learnt a lot. And we'll probably do the same this year with Quebecois. Run him in the Cheltenham bumper, same thing. And I think he does him good. And then, you know, we took our way. You know, obviously we went in the Persian War, which we thought he was up to doing that. And then it didn't work out at Cheltenham, but he learnt an awful lot that day. And Harry learnt probably an awful lot about him. And you know, much improved today.
And the way that he occasionally jumped his hurdles at Cheltenham, it wasn't bad, but he was almost jumping them with a bit too much respect, a little too slowly.
Yeah, I mean, he's never probably jumped a hurdle at home. He's only ever jumped baby fences. I mean, he's ultimately a chaser, so that's what we do with him. But he's got a bit quicker today, and, you know, he's just, his third run over hurdles, he's learning all the time.
And are you inclined to run him again between now and March?
I need to talk to Johnny about that. He won't need to run between now and then, and I'm not sure. You know, Johnny's not one that's totally mad about Cheltenham, but if we thought we'd have a chance, I dare say we entered in both the novice hurdles. If he ran in the shorter trip over 2.5, he would want soft ground, that's for sure. Otherwise, you might go up him further. Johnny might say find a small race and we'll go to Aintree. I don't know. I'll have a chat with him and see what he wants to do. But ultimately, we need to look after him because this time next year when he's jumping fences, you'll see the best of him.
And you talk about a previous winner of this race in Braveman's Game, and indeed two previous winners, him and Hermes Allen. How have they come out of their respective runs on Boxing Day?
Yeah, Braveman's Game was a bit sore for a few days. Ultimately, he got into that tangle with Shiskin. And Hermes Allen knew he'd had a race. You know, he was taken out of his comfort zone. The time of that race was incredible, really. So he's fine, and Braveman's Game's going to go straight to Cheltenham. I haven't made a plan really with Hermes Allen yet, but I mean, ultimately we find a race to get his confidence and make a plan where we run him.
And it sounds a daft question to ask about a horse who was second in the race last year, but people are asking it. Will it definitely be the Gold Cup for Braveman's Game?
Braveman's Game, yeah. I mean, do you know what? I don't think he's got enough boot for the Ryanair. Everyone keeps saying, if you watch the first race of the circuit at the King George, he was flat out behind the bridle, and then he actually stayed on quite strongly up the straight. Now, the owner would like to run in the Gold Cup, and I think that's his race. I've got like Stage Star and Hitman and a few others running the Ryanair, so I have no point taking them. I'm not even going to enter him in the Ryanair, straight to the Gold Cup.
Also, what do you do this game for if you're not going to do that?
Yeah, I know, look, Galloping Champ's going to be hard to beat, but, you know, Champ's another day. We were second to him last year. We were trying to improve a bit. Well, we need to, but if we can just get him back to his best and get some decent ground, we'll run a good race again.
And I feel sorry for Stage Star. We haven't mentioned him in this conversation. He's running on New Year's Day, and that's come as a little bit of a surprise to me. What prompted that?
Well, look, to be honest with you, it looks okay now. It's a 100-grand race. There's only
not many runners.
6 runners. I got to carry plenty of weight, but that's fine. But where else was it going to go? I'm glad I didn't go to the Savills Chase. You had a hell of a hard race there, and there's nothing else for him that he can run in really until the Ryanair, because he has to go left-handed. So we thought run him here, then he can have a little break and get him tuned up for the main target is a Ryanair Chase.
Well done, Paul.
Thank you.
He's won the last 4 editions of the Challow Hurdle, beginning with Brave Man's Game, then Stage Star, then Hermes Allen, now Captain Teague. 4 very different horses, but 4 very good ones. Harry Cobden, where does this one fit in?
Oh, he's very good. It's a bit disappointed he got beat last time, to be fair, because I thought he was our best one by a country mile. But
that was your fault, wasn't it, according to the trainer?
Yeah, I always get the blame. But he was good there today. He travelled well. He doesn't do a tap in front. He sort of cruised to the front to the second last, and then as soon as he's got there, he waits for his friends. But he's a good horse, and he'll just keep progressing.
They always say that the good athletes are the ones that look as though they've got all the time in the world. He seems to think he's got all the time in the world.
Yeah, and that furlong and a half from the last of the line was probably the longest I've ever known it around here, because I could hear the others coming, but I couldn't see them. But he handles that ground really well. He's got his jumping together now, and he's definitely going the right way.
And could you sort of think to yourself, well, if he rolls for me, then I feel I've got them covered?
Yeah, but he just sort of gets there, and it all goes very slow motion when he thinks he's won the job, and it just feels very laboured when he gets there. But actually, on the way around, he cruises and does it easily.
Do you feel he needs to go up in trip if he's going to have a chance at the spring festivals?
Yeah, to me, he feels very much like he's a stayer, although he's not short of speed. Is he good enough to win a Ballymore? I don't know.
Is he good enough to win an Albert Bartlett?
It's normally the weaker race, isn't it? And I'm sure, you know, he'd have a right chance in that. I've got no doubt that he'd stay the 3 miles. And he's tough as well. You know, any horse that runs well in the champion bumper usually stays, doesn't it?
And for you, a nice personal milestone, winning 4 of these on the spin.
Yeah, it's good. Newbury's been lucky for me, and you know, it's great for the owners as well. And you know, Johnny Delahay's put loads of horses our way, and it's good to ride him a nice winner.
Well done, Harry.
Thank you.
Watch live racing now on racingtv.com.